So how do you do this? Because you don't speak the language. So what do? You just go out with a field notebook and you just watch? How do you do you worry that you miss subtleties when you don't speak the language? Or I'm sure you've got great strategies for getting around this. What are they?
Well, the main strategy is to try to learn the language. So with the Machigenga, I spoke Spanish. There was a fair amount of Spanish, and I was studying Machigenga the whole time I was there. Picked up some. And in Fiji, at various points, I'm probably not very good now, but I got good enough to pick up things in conversation. If I didn't understand something, I could check with someone. And I also work with a team approach. So I have Fijians that I've hired from the main island who are there working with me. So, they're making observations too. A lot of times we might be at a party. If there's something I don't pick up, I'll check with my research assistant who was also there. I'll be like, so and so said this, and I didn't understand what he said. And then my RA will often clear things up. Tape record things. There's a lot of good tricks.
How do you do this logistically? How do you find research assistants? How do you actually connect with the tribe? Do you just show up and say, ladies and gentlemen, I will be living here for the next 6 months? You probably don't do that. So what do you do?
Well, as with so many things, you got to figure out the kind of relationship connections. So while I was visiting the capital, I was pitching my project to a number of different offices in the Fijian capital, kind of national government offices. And I met I think she was an assistant secretary at the Ministry of Education. And as I was describing my project to her, I was suggesting places where I might do some work. And she mentioned that she had an uncle there. And so I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And so eventually I got her to write a letter for me introducing me to the uncle. And then once I got there, I talked to the uncle. He seemed open to it. And so kind of just making a chain of relationships. I did the same thing with the Mapuche in Chile. I had a friend who had a friend in Santiago who had a woman who cleaned his house who had a cousin in the southern part of the country, and I followed that chain of relationships into the community.
Wow. That's so exciting. Just sort of the unpredictability of it all. That's really cool.
Yeah, you got
Um,
to just make it up as you go along. Just on the research assistant, I just put up posters at the University of the South Pacific, and I did interviews like in this little place I was staying.